Imagine knowing that everything you experience is a reality you are creating. Imagine finally understanding that with the right belief system, you never have to be sick. Imagine never having to worry or have fear about anything because you are in control of it all. What will you do when you find out this is all true and what you have been told to believe is false? It is time to learn the truth. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Reality Changer Radio. Tonight I want to talk about money and the aspects of money, mastering the wealth process, and really turning your head around from the old school thinking of I have to go out and work hard, I have to work 3 jobs to support my family, I have to. That's the old school way, because they weren't in of a mindset of creating their reality and changing their thought processes. Let's face it, a lot of us out there, our programming comes from people who always had to have plan B, as I've mentioned in the past, but, people that were World War II and farmers and everything else like that, these are not people that, in a sense, are progressive, and I don't mean to disrespect anybody, but it's a new age today. And you are going to be the grandparent that is way more progressive than your own grandparents. It's just the nature of things. So what I'd like to do today is I'd like to read a little bit from The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, Mastering the Inner Game of Wealth by Harv Eker. Harv has been around for a long, long time and teaches seminars and workshops and has a whole training facility and is world-renowned for helping people break through their old school programming, changing their belief systems, and turning it around to make themselves successful and make a lot of money. And not in the greedy, hypocritical way that old school would have you do it. One of the things that struck me about this book was that after I got through half of it, it sounded like me speaking, except about money. Some of the stuff that I've talked about over time in my workshops, my classes, and even here on the radio, about changing your belief systems, going inside. You're never going to change anything on the external unless you change it inside first. This is all exactly where he's coming from and has a lot of experience and a lot of success stories to back up what he says. So tonight what I want to do is, and for those of you that are wondering what's going on lately, last week I read from the Abraham Hicks book. What I want to do is read what other people are doing so that you can compare it to some of the things I've been saying. I never want anyone to get the idea that I am just coming out of the darkness with my own interpretation of things, because I have spent 40 years researching this stuff and studying different people. So I want to expose you to some of the others that are out there who are having success, who have a lot of stories to tell, and who are basically of the same mindset as myself. And one of the things that we're all trying to do is help you achieve greatness and happiness in your life. So we're going to start tonight with page 73 of the book. It's Wealth File number 4. Rich people think big, poor people think small. And the first part of it says, we once had a training teacher. Well, I apologize. We once had a trainer teaching at one of our seminars who went from a net worth of $250,000 to over $600 million in only 3 years. When asked his secret, he said, "Everything changed the moment I began to think big." I refer you to the law of income, which states you will be paid in direct proportion to the value you deliver according to the marketplace. And in each one of these chapters, Harv has a wealth principle, and in this particular one, the wealth principle is the law of income. You will be paid in direct proportion to the value you deliver according to the marketplace. The key word is value. It's important to know that 4 factors determine your value in the marketplace: supply, demand, quality, and quantity. In my experience, the factor that represents the biggest challenge for most people is the quantity. The quantity factor simply means how much of your value do you actually deliver to the marketplace. Another way of stating this is how many people do you actually serve or affect. In my business, for example, some trainers prefer teaching small groups of 20 people at a time. Others are comfortable with 100 participants in the room. Others like an audience of 500. And still others love audiences of 1,000 to 5,000 or more. Is there a difference in income among these trainers? You better believe there is. Considering the network marketing business, is there a difference in income between someone who has 10 people in his or her downline and someone who has 10,000 people? I would think so. Near the beginning of this book, I mentioned that I owned a chain of retail fitness stores. From the moment I even considered going into this business, my intention was to have 100 successful stores and affect tens of thousands of people. My competitor, on the other hand, who started 6 months after me, had the intention of owning 1 successful store. In the end, she earned a decent living. I got rich. How do you want to live your life? How do you want to play the game? Do you want to play in the big leagues or in the little leagues? In the majors or the minors? Are you going to play big or play small? It's your choice. Most people choose to play small. Why? Well, first, because of fear. They're scared to death of failure, and they're even more frightened of success. Second, people play small because they feel small. They feel unworthy. They don't feel they're good enough or important enough to make a real difference in people's lives. But hear this. Your life is not just about you. It's also about contributing to others. It's about living true to your mission and reason for being here on this earth at this time. It's about adding your piece of the puzzle to the world. Most people are so stuck in their own egos that everything revolves around me, and more me. But if you want to be rich, in the truest sense of the word, it can't only be about you. It has to include adding value to other people's lives. One of the greatest inventors and philosophers of our time, Buckminster Fuller, said, "The purpose of our lives is to add value to the people of this generation and those that follow." We came to this earth with natural talents, things we're just naturally good at. These gifts were given to you for a reason, to use and share with others. Research shows that the happiest people are those who use their natural talents to the utmost. Part of your mission in life, then, must be to share your gifts and value with as many people as possible. That means being willing to play big. Do you know the definition of an entrepreneur? The definition we use in our programs is a person who solves problems for people at a profit. That's right, an entrepreneur is nothing more than a problem solver. So I ask you, would you rather solve problems for more people or fewer people? If you replied more, then you need to start thinking bigger and decide to help massive numbers of people, thousands, even millions. The byproduct is that more people you help, the richer you become, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and definitely financially. Make no mistake, every person on this planet has a mission. If you are living right now, there's a reason for it. Richard Bach, in his book Jonathan Livingston Seagull, is asked, how will I know when I'm completed my mission? The answer, if you're still breathing, you're not done. What I have witnessed is too many people not doing their job, not fulfilling their duty, or dharma, as it's called in Sanskrit. I watch too many people playing far too small and too many people allowing their fear-based ego selves to rule them. The result is that too many of us are not living up to our own full potential in terms of both our lives and our contribution to others. It comes down to this. If not you, then who? Again, everyone has his or her unique purpose. Maybe you're a real estate investor and buy properties to rent them out and make money on cash flow and appreciation. What's your mission? How do you help? There's a good chance you add value to your community by helping families find affordable housing they may not otherwise be able to find. Now the question is, how many families and people can you assist? Are you willing to help 10,000 of one, 20,000 of 10, 100,000 instead of 20? This is what I mean by playing big. In her wonderful book, A Return to Love, author Marianne Williamson puts it this way. You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure about you, around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Nice, huh? The world doesn't need more people playing small. It's time to stop hiding out and start stepping out. It's time to stop needing and start leading. It's time to start sharing your gifts instead of hoarding them or pretending they don't exist. It's time that you started playing the game of life in a big way. And just a side note here, that's one of the reasons that I tell all of you, once you get it, please promise to share it. Because sometimes it's not easy to get the message, and once you do get it, the more people you share it with, the better world we're going to have all around. In the end, small thinking and small actions lead to being broke and unfulfilled. Big thinking and big actions lead to both money and meaning. The choice is yours. Wealth file number 5. Rich people focus on opportunities and poor people focus on obstacles. Rich people see opportunities. Poor people see obstacles. Rich people see potential growth. Poor people see potential loss. Rich people focus on the rewards. Poor people focus on the risks. It comes down to the age-old question. Is the glass half empty or half full? We're not talking positive thinking here. We're talking about your habitual perspective on the world. Poor people make choices based upon fear. Their minds are constantly scanning for what is wrong or could go wrong in any situation. Their primary mindset is, what if it doesn't work? Or more often, it won't work. What if? Another side note here, everybody. How many times have you heard me talk about the old school programming of what if? And how you have to have plan B. And I always quote Will Smith, I don't have plan B. It gets in the way of plan A. Unless you take the necessary steps to correct the old school programming that is within you, to get rid of the what ifs, which I equate to all the worries. Every single one of them is a what if. And unless you're willing to take those steps and do what's necessary to get rid of them, then your success ratio is going to be very small. Middle-class people are slightly more optimistic. Their mindset is, I sure hope this works. Rich people, as we've said earlier, take responsibility for the results in their lives and act upon the mindset. It will work because I'll make it work. Rich people expect to succeed. They have confidence in their abilities. They have confidence in their creativity, and they believe that should the doo-doo hit the fan, they can find another way to succeed. Generally speaking, the higher the reward, the higher the risk. Because they constantly see opportunity, rich people are willing to take a risk. Rich people believe that if worse comes to worse, they can always make their money back. And make no mistake about it, folks, we're not talking about having a plan B in motion here. Quite the opposite. Poor people, on the other hand, expect to fail. They lack confidence in themselves and in their abilities. Poor people believe that should things not work out, it would be catastrophic. And because they constantly see obstacles, they are usually unwilling to take a risk. No risk, no reward. For the record, being willing to risk doesn't necessarily mean that you're willing to lose. Rich people take educated risks. This means that they research, do their due diligence, and make decisions based on solid information and facts. Do rich people take forever to get educated? No. They do what they can in as short as time as possible, then make an informed decision to go for it or not. Although poor people claim to be preparing for an opportunity, what they're usually doing is stalling. They're scared to death, hemming and hawing for weeks, months, and even years on end, and by then the opportunity usually disappears. Then they rationalize the situation by saying, I was getting ready. Sure enough, but while they're getting ready, the rich guy got in, got out, and made another fortune. I know what I'm about to say may sound a little strange, considering how much I value self-responsibility. However, I do believe a certain element of what many people call luck is associated with getting rich, or for that matter, with being successful at anything. In football, it might be the opposing team's fumbling on your own 1-yard line with less than a minute to go, allowing your team to win the game. In golf, it could be the errant shot that hits an out-of-bounds tree and bounces back onto the green just 3 inches from the hole. In business, how many times have you heard of a guy who plops down some money on a piece of land in the boonies, and 10 years later, some conglomerate decides it wants to build a shopping center or an office building on it? This investor gets rich. So, was it a brilliant business move on his part or sheer luck? My guess is that it's a bit of both. The point, however, is that no luck, or anything else worthwhile, will come your way unless you're willing to take some form of action. To succeed financially, you have to do something, buy something, or start something. And when you do, it is luck, or is it the universe or a higher power supporting you in its miraculous ways for having the courage and commitment to go for it? As far as I'm concerned, who cares what it is? It happens. Another key principle, pertinent here, is that rich people focus on what they want, while poor people focus on what they don't want. Again, the universal law states what you focus on expands. Because rich people focus on the opportunities in everything, opportunities abound for them. Their biggest problem is handling all the incredible money-making possibilities they see. On the other hand, because poor people focus on the obstacles in everything, obstacles abound for them, and their biggest problem is handling all the incredible obstacles they see. This is what I talk about all the time, everybody. Focus on what you want and not on what you don't want. Because what you focus on, what you give emotion to, what you give substance to, and your feelings, this is what emanates from you and goes out into the universe. This is the energy that attaches itself to the law of attraction. And this is what makes whatever it is come back to you threefold. So just like I talk about the hypochondriac that gives themselves really something wrong with them when they don't think, when doctors say, oh, there's nothing wrong with you, and all of a sudden they end up with some disease. Or the guy who smokes dope at lunch and never gets fired even though he comes in late because he just doesn't care. In his belief system, it doesn't matter. So he doesn't worry about being fired. He never focuses on being fired. So he's never fired. It's simple. Your field of focus determines what you find in life. Focus on opportunities and that's what you'll find. Focus on obstacles and that's what you find. I'm not saying that you don't take care of problems. Of course, handle problems as they arise in the present. But keep your eye on your goal. Keep moving toward your target. Put your time and energy into creating what you want. When obstacles arise, handle them. Then quickly refocus on your vision. You don't want to make your life all about solving problems. You don't spend all your time fighting fires. Those that do move backwards. You spend your time and energy in thought and deed, moving steadily forward toward your goal. Do you want some simple but extremely rare advice? Here it is. If you want to get rich, focus on making, keeping, and investing your money. If you want to be poor, focus on spending your money. You can read 1,000 books and take 100 courses on success. But it all boils down to that. Remember, what you focus on expands. Rich people also understand that you can never know all the information beforehand. In another of our programs, Enlightened Warrior Training, we train people to access the inner power and succeed in spite of everything. In this course, we teach a principle known as ready, fire, aim. What do we mean? Get ready the best you can in as short a time as possible. Take action, then correct along the way. It's nuts to think that you can know everything that may happen in the future. It's delusional to believe you can prepare for every circumstance that might someday occur and protect yourself from it. Did you know that there are no straight lines in the universe? Life doesn't travel in a perfectly straight line. It moves along like a winding river. More often than not, you can only see the next level, the next bend, and only when you reach the next turn can you see more. The idea is to get in the game with whatever you've got from wherever you are. I call this entering the corridor. For example, years ago I was planning on opening an all-night dessert cafe in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I studied location options, the marketplace, and found out what equipment I'd need. I also researched the kind of cakes, pies, ice creams, and coffees available. The first big problem, I got really fat. Eating my research wasn't helpful. So I asked myself, Harv, what would be the best way to study this business? And then I heard this guy named Harv, who was obviously a lot smarter than me. If you really want to learn the business, get into it. You don't have to own the darn thing from day one. Get in the corridor by getting a job in the arena. You'll learn more by sweeping up a restaurant and washing dishes than by 10 years of research from the outside. And that's what I did. I got a job at Mother Butler's Pie Shop. I wish I could tell you that they immediately recognized my superb talents and started me as CEO. But alas, somehow they just didn't see, nor did they care about my executive leadership skills. So I began as a busboy. That's right, sweeping the floor and clearing the dishes. Funny how the power of intention works, isn't it? You might think that I must really have had to swallow my pride to do this, and the truth is I never looked at it that way. I was on a mission to learn the dessert business. I was grateful for the opportunity to learn it on someone else's ticket and make some pocket change to boot. During my tenure as the pie busboy, I spent as much time as possible shooting the doo-doo with the manager about revenues and profits, checking boxes to find out the names of the suppliers, and helping the baker at 4 a.m. to learn about equipment, ingredients, and problems that could occur. A full week went by, and I guess I was pretty good at my job because the manager sat me down, fed me some pie, and promoted me to, drumroll please, cashier. I thought about it long and hard, for exactly a nanosecond, and replied, "Thanks, but no thanks." First, there was no way I could learn about being stuck behind a cash register. Secondly, I'd already learned what I came to learn. Mission accomplished. So that's what I mean about being in the corridor. It means entering the arena where you want to be in the future, in any capacity, to get started. This is far and away the best way to learn about a business, because you see it from the inside. Second, you can make the contacts you need, which you could never have made from the outside. Third, once you're in the corridor, many other doors of opportunity may open to you. That is, once you witness what's really going on, you may discover a niche for yourself that you hadn't recognized before. Fourth, you may find out you really don't like this field, and thank goodness you found out before you get in too deep. So which of the above happened for me? By the time I was done with Mother Butler's, I couldn't stand the smell or sight of pie. Second, the baker quit the day after I left, phoned me, and explained he had just found out about a hot new piece of exercise equipment known as gravity guidance inversion boots. You may have seen Richard Gere hang upside down in these in the movie American Gigolo, and wanted to know if I was interested in looking at them. I checked things out and decided the boots were dynamite, but he wasn't. So I got involved on my own. I began selling the boots to sporting goods and department stores. I noticed that these retail outlets all had one thing in common: crummy exercise equipments. My brain cells went berserk. Opportunity, opportunity, opportunity. Funny how things happen. This was my first experience selling exercise equipment, which eventually led me to opening one of the first retail fitness stores in North America and making my very first million. And to think, it all started with me being a busboy at Mother Butler's pie shops. The moral is simple. Get in the corridor. You never know what doors will open to you. I have a motto. Action always beats inaction. Rich people get started. They trust that once they get in the game, they can make intelligent decisions in the present moment, make corrections, and adjust their sails along the way. Poor people don't trust in themselves or their abilities, so they believe they have to know everything in advance, which is virtually impossible. Meanwhile, they don't do squat. In the end, with their positive, ready, fire, aim attitude, rich people take action and usually win. In the end, by telling themselves, "I'm not doing anything until I've identified every possible problem and know exactly what to do about it," poor people never take action, and therefore always lose. Rich people see an opportunity, jump on it, and get even richer. As for poor people, they're still preparing. All right, well, that's it for today's show, folks. I hope you enjoyed it and are a little closer to living life on your terms. Join me next week, won't you, for another mind-blowing show about the truth of reality. Until then, my reality is not your reality. What are you creating today?